Hey there everyone, friendly Neighborhood Webhead here, and today I'm going to pose a few questions to you. Do you like role-playing games? Do you like video games that offer excruciating challenges, but make you feel a satisfying sense of accomplishment once you overcome said challenges? Do you like video games in which you explore aimlessly and get lost in the world that the video game offers? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, then Dark Souls is for you. Today I'm going to be giving my review of the game. For those of you who have been wanting to get it but have been a little, reluctant, a little skeptical in buying it, well, I'm going to give you my reasons for why you should play it. So then, let's get to this. So then, to put it simply, Dark Souls is a dark fantasy RPG from Bandai Namco and From Software, created by Hidetaka Miyazaki. And let me tell you, it is quite the intriguing game. It takes a lot of different aspects of the RPG genre, such as leveling up, customization, stat attributes, and a very incredible world to explore. In terms of the gameplay, I have to say that I really enjoyed Dark Souls gameplay. It takes a little bit to get used to at first, because normally in any kind of video game you're used to hacking and slashing your way through enemy encounters, but that's not the case here in Dark Souls. If you recklessly charge in towards an enemy without knowing what you're doing, odds are you're going to die, and it's going to be a painful death. And another thing, death is actually a very big part of this game, as in you die constantly. Like, I'm not even kidding. Even low-level monsters, they manage to kill you in 1 or 2 hits if you're not careful. Which is why this game rewards the person who analyzes enemy patterns and knows how to work their way around combat. And that's something that I really liked about this game. It has a neat gameplay hook that I'd never seen in any other game prior to. In terms of leveling up, it's actually quite a different process rather than your traditional RPG. Because in RPGs, you just gain experience, and you level up, and you get your stats raised and all, and that's great. But in Dark Souls, souls are your experience. They're your currency. For every time you collect souls, you use them in a bonfire, which is like your resting place. It's like a checkpoint, if you will. With souls, you can be able to choose which attribute you want to raise to your character, and that attribute results in the level up. So you really have to be careful where you spend your souls, because oftentimes you want to have a little bit more defense than attack, or maybe you'll want more attack than defense, or maybe you'll want your magic spells, to be a little more powerful. In the end, it's really up to you. It all depends on your play style. And that's something that I really love, because you have control over what attributes you want to raise. And, well, in my time of the game, in my 90 hours of gameplay time, I raised my character's level to 107. Yep, 107 levels. That takes a lot of souls. Oh, and when you die, you lose the souls that you gained, but you still have one chance to regain those souls. But if you die while trying to reclaim the souls that you lost, all that hard-earned experience, it goes away. And trust me, you do not want that to happen to you. You really do not. One of the things I really love about this game is the depth of customization for your character. Because, good God, it just feels so awesome to stumble upon a rare piece of armor, or a rare armor set, or maybe a rare weapon. And for these kinds of weapons and armor, you can buy them in shops, but you can also pick them up from the foes you defeat, or from dead carcasses you find in the dungeons that you explore. But the customization, I just really love it. I mean, there's this one specific armor set that I really love, the Silver Knight. And once I got that armor, that's the armor that I remain with for the rest of the game. Oh, and that's something else. With armor and weapons, you can be able to customize them as well. You can be able to raise their attributes. You can raise how much more effectively armor defends you, or how much more effectively a weapon, increases its attack. And it's really awesome, because you literally get to make your character stronger. And that's a really cool aspect of the game. And speaking of weapons, you get all kinds of weapons. You get short swords, long swords, axes, halberds, sorcerer staffs, bows and arrows, crossbows. The The variety in weapons is pretty cool, and something that is also very interesting regarding weapons and armor is the fact that with time, if you don't keep your eye on your armor and your weapons, they eventually break. And that's something that, while it may sound annoying, as long as you have a blacksmith, that you can reach, because there are a few blacksmiths in the game, and as long as you're, within the area, you can be able to give them souls and they'll repair your weapons and your armor. But then when you have enough souls in the game, you can be able to buy your own repair box, and when you rest at bonfires, you can be able to repair your weapons and armor on your own, without having to go to a blacksmith, which is a bit more convenient. As for the world in this game, Lordran is a beautiful and haunting place. It has a variety of different locales that interconnect with each other, and the thing that I love about this game is that, okay, picture this. You're going through a castle, right? And then suddenly you stumble upon an opening, and then you go through that opening and discover a hidden path. You follow the hidden path, find a good treasure here and there, encounter some terrifying enemy, and then when you get out of the path, you find that it connects to a place that you had gone to before. And that is something that, that pleasantly surprised me in a few areas that I went. Like, every time I kept unearthing a new place, I would discover a path that would lead me back to one of the main places I had already been. And that's something that I really love, how the world literally connects itself together. And the dungeons, there are different varieties. There's, a dark forest, there's a catacombs, there's a castle, and there's different areas, and I really love the variety. And in terms of the enemy types, they change a little bit throughout the game, and trust me, each enemy type, even the most simplest ones, they're very, very hard to beat, unless you know your way around them. But once you've acquainted yourself with the game, it'll be child's play taking care of them. And speaking of the world, there's no traditional world map like you would find, in most RPGs, or, like maps that let you know where you are. Like in this game, wherever you go, you literally have to find your own way in or out of the places you go to in this game. Like, there's no hand-holding at all. The game puts you in charge of finding the destinations, about finding the places, and, there's really a very awesome sense of discovering that, because once you discover a place, it's like, oh wow, I can't believe that I came upon this, it leads to a sense of discovery that, I think really fits this game perfectly. But yeah, this game does not tell you what to do at all. Like, you literally have to find out for yourself what you have to do. Because, you're not going to get clues from looking at the world, because, there's no world map. And, that's pretty cool. Something that I also noted is that this game barely has any music at all. Well, you might think to yourself, oh, well, that sucks. But it actually doesn't, because for what the game is, like, okay, there are a few areas where there's music, and, and when there's boss battles, there's definitely music. But for the most part, when you're exploring dungeons or fighting regular enemies, like, there's no background music. It's just the heavy clang of your footsteps, the sounds of the enemies, or, the ripples of the water. And I actually found that to be pretty cool, because you actually took in the sound of the environment and, the sounds of the game in and of themselves. And I didn't find it necessary for there to be music at all. And I don't know if Hidetaka Miyazaki wanted this intentionally for the game or not, but I find that it was pretty cool that the game has its own way of immersing you without the need for music in every single aspect of it. And if anyone was wondering, yes, this game has multiplayer, but it's actually quite a subtle offering, because with the multiplayer, there are signs on the floor that you sometimes stumble upon in dungeons. There are summon sigils, and if you touch upon the summon sigil, you can be able to summon an ally that can help you get through the dungeon and fight a particular boss that may be giving you a tough time. I really like the subtlety of the multiplayer in this game. I mean, the game is definitely single player, but it adds that, added layer of multiplayer without it feeling like a multiplayer game. Oh, and enemies, like there are enemy players that invade your world, that they can be able to come invade you, and if they kill you, well, they take your souls, and that's pretty annoying. But you can be able to do the same to them. Overall, the dynamic of the multiplayer of having allies and you being able to invade other players' worlds is pretty cool. And remember how I was saying that you can head into battle recklessly and that you have to actually think before you attack? Well, more proof of this is the game's stamina system. I'll explain. You see, for every action you do, even if it's running, you waste a stamina bar, but don't worry. When you stop doing anything, it recharges quickly. But, the key element of the stamina feature is that, well, of course you're running, but if you run all the time, you're going to run out of stamina. So you have to know, when to take little breaks and, just jog instead of run. And also, it applies to attacks. Like when you do 3 swift attacks, well, you waste stamina, at a steady pace. If you use heavy attacks, you waste more chunks of stamina. It's a really fun system to tinker with because normally in any other game you don't have, that kind of handicap. And in the case of Dark Souls, it's a really fun handicap because you challenge yourself. You're like, you know what, I'm going to save my stamina a bit. But it's a pretty cool feature, a feature that I really liked about the game. And also, the great thing about this game is that you can be able to create your very own character. Like, you can be able to customize the character's face, the hairstyle, skin color, and you can be able to choose from a variety of different classes, which include warrior, knight, sorcerer, and those such classes. And it's really cool because you have a different variety. And apparently, for any kind of class that you choose, there's actually, a physical kind of difference that differentiates between classes. Like, for example, the knight is a very clunky fighter. In terms of, when he runs slowly because of the heavy armor he's carrying. Whereas a warrior is swifter because, he doesn't have that much armor, carrying him around. And it's pretty cool because I liked that you could be able to choose the different classes. Oh, and weapons, something that I almost forgot to mention. Weapons have requirements, in terms of the parameters, your stats. If you don't have enough strength, there are weapons you can't wield because they're too heavy. And you can try to use them, but you can't. Trust me, you can't. But overall, the gameplay systems of Dark Souls are pretty darn good. I bet you're wondering, what about the story? Well, to tell you the truth, Dark Souls is very minimal in terms of story. And by minimal, I mean that there's, no extensive amount of cutscenes. The story is mostly told through NPCs that you encounter through the game, or, weapon descriptions of weapons that you obtain throughout the game. I mean, there are a few cutscenes here and there, but, they're very minimal, and the emphasis is more on the gameplay and world exploration. But the story is about how you, the chosen undead, must rekindle the fire, the first flame, because it's dying out, because the ones who did in the first place, it was a very long time ago, and some of them either outlived their usefulness, or they turned, bad, and so, as the chosen undead, you have to eliminate the bad eggs and rekindle the first flame. That's pretty much it. And, like I said, there's very little cutscenes, but, the story is actually pretty enjoyable because you get to piece together what you think the story of the world is. It's pretty cool. I like that about the game. And even though some people may be a bit turned off because, there's no big amount of cutscenes, but actually, I don't think that took away from the game at all. If anything, I think the lack of cutscenes provided a little bit more depth to the story because you could be able to make up your own assumptions of what the game is about, But yeah, I think that's everything. So yeah, if you want an amazing dark fantasy RPG with excruciatingly difficult bosses, an awesome world to explore, and with mysterious cryptic story, then trust me, you'll definitely love Dark Souls. It's a game that you'll definitely want to check out. But let me warn you, it is not for the faint of heart. But anyways, for those of you who have played Dark Souls, what do you think of it? What was your most memorable boss fight or your most frustrating boss fight? What was your favorite part of the game? Whatever you think and whatever experiences you want to share, just make sure to comment on the comment section below. And if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe. Anyways, this has been Friendly Neighborhood Webhead, signing out.